Hello, friends and fam, and welcome to Fandom Frontier. I am your host, as always, Handsome Dave, and wow, April has been a doozy. I don't think there's been a single week that hasn't had something go on. And guys, seriously, this has been an insane April. To start off, if you haven't yet, I was on an episode of Myers Corp Cosplay Monday Night Nerd. We talked about all things Resident Evil. I've linked that video in the description below. But before I get too ahead of myself, let me ask that age-old question I ask every episode. So yeah, guys, we're going to start off on a bit of a somber note tonight. As you all know, if you've tuned in, or if you're new to the channel, first off, welcome. Like, share, subscribe, as all the YouTubers always say. But on that somber note, one you know as everybody who watches Fandom, one of my sponsors for being back is Nerdcore. Nerdcore is a little store here in Hamilton. Highly love Nerdcore. Keith and Angie are the absolute best. But unfortunately, they had a bit of a tragedy on Easter weekend. Nerdcore, the upstairs unit, caught fire, and unfortunately, Nerdcore was severely damaged in that. There's been a lot of community outreach, which I absolutely love, because again, being not only just a sponsor of this podcast, but being, you know, a customer of theirs, and just like the atmosphere and the community that they've created, it broke my heart. Like the day I found out that it happened, it was devastating. But as I said when I did the interview with BlogTO, the silver lining to this, guys, is the community can now step up and give back to them. So yeah, a GoFundMe has been started. I will link the GoFundMe below. Please support Nerdcore, guys. They are the definition of a mom and pop shop, and truly a staple of this community, especially the fandom and comic community and collector community. And at the end of the day, Keith and Angie are just absolutely incredible people. They are some of the most kind, loving, fun souls I've had the pleasure of meeting. And it devastated me when I found out that they lost the store. So yeah, tonight, guys, if you can, check out their GoFundMe below. Donate if you can. I know, guys, times are tough. Please do understand there's no pressure, but please also know that all of your help and support really does mean the world to them, and it's because of mom and pop shops like this. I got back into comics. Again, when I worked at Big B Comics, it crushed the life out of me. I didn't like collecting comics. I didn't like the comic book community. I just felt all that toxicity that comes with it. Now, granted, over time that changed. Walter and I are great. You know, I still talk to the guys that I used to work with, and they're all fantastic. But, you know, being out of that and then finding my love again for comics through another outlet and another incredible family. Guys, again, support Nerdcore. They actually are planning on doing their booth for June Comic-Con, which we're super excited about. TBD on that, obviously, but they did say when I was just talking to them on the weekend, they are still going to try and do it, and I'm praying for them. I hope they can make it, because again, guys, June Comic-Con's a big one. It's in Niagara Falls. It's Niagara Falls Comic-Con, obviously, but it hits home for them. It's a good one, and I really hope that they can make it out, and we can start rebuilding Nerdcore, not just them, but, you know, the community involved, and you know, the GoFundMe is a great way to start helping them out. So yeah, if you guys do get the chance, send your well wishes. The Real Nerdcore, here it is on Instagram, guys. Check out their GoFundMe. You know, just drop them a line, let them know that we're all thinking about them, and we're all pulling for them. Well, after that, I do have some pretty cool news about myself. So some of you know I do have a little pet project on the side called Monsterios. Monsterios is short for the Monsters of Ontario. It is my art and photography that I've combined into one. It is it's photos essentially with like ink drawings of kaiju and like creepy monsters walking through the city and the forests and everything like that. So yeah, if you don't check them out, Monsterios Creep, they're on Instagram. But I took a year off, just the past year, just because, you know, with getting married and moving and everything, I just wanted to spend that time. And then I got a promotion at work, so I wanted to spend that time getting reclimatized and everything. So I didn't do many art shows last year, or any at all. And this year I got invited to do one, and I am super excited to announce that I will be a part of the Fandom showcase at the demo room on May 23rd, where I will be showing some brand new prints. I will be showing some old stuff, some fan favorites, and some new stuff. I am going to be shifting the Monsterios under a new umbrella and a new name eventually. I am in the works of that because, again, as much as I do love doing Monsterios, I do love doing other art as well, that I would love to start selling canvases again. I would love to start selling and doing ink drawings and watercolor and everything like that. So I might switch it up. I'll still do Monsterios, but it'll be under a big umbrella. I have the link in the description below if you're interested in purchasing tickets. The way they do the tickets is excellent. All 75% of the proceeds go to the artists, while the 25% go to the company that runs the art shows, so that they can stay funded, keep the roof over their heads, and keep doing these amazing shows. So it's very much for the artist, by the artist, and I love it. It's awesome. It's such a great model. I'm so excited to be back working with these people too. They are honestly amazing. They used to run the Raw shows, and they featured me when they started doing the Toronto area shows. And I think I did like 3 or 4 of their shows, and they're a blast. Like, my wife and I, we had a great time doing them. We've made so many friends. A few friends actually came to our wedding from the Raw shows, and we're so excited to be back. We're so excited to see our friends. And the demo room is absolutely gorgeous, guys. Like, I am so excited to be doing these art shows back at the demo room, and just in general. This is a great way to do it. It is downtown Toronto on Lakeshore. If you guys are interested, link in the description below for tickets. I'll see you there. This handsome face, my wife will be there. It's a great chance for you guys to come out and meet us, and check out some amazing local artists. I don't want to say such as myself, but I am an artist, so yes, I am an artist. Check out some of my work. If you don't, check out Monsterio's Creep. Yeah, guys, as I mentioned in the beginning, I actually was honored to be on Myers Corp Cosplay Monday Night Nerd. I was super excited to be a part of the Resident Evil episode. I had an absolute blast talking all things Resident Evil. I've been playing Resident Evil since I think I was like 10 years old. And I've grown up with that game. I love everything about it. And honestly, getting the chance to do an episode with Mike I always jump at that. I love what Mike has done with Monday Night Nerd. Again, as he's mentioned several times, when I originally started Fandom and I couldn't do it anymore because of multiple reasons, I passed the torch to Mike, and he carried it so well. I gave him a lot of the Fandom equipment, and he just has done such a good job with Monday Night Nerd, and I'm so proud of Mike. I'm so proud of Monday Night Nerd. He does it every single week, every Monday night. He's live. Guys, if you haven't checked out the Resident Evil episode, it's in the bio as well. Please check it out. We had so much fun talking shop, all things Resident Evil. We have some plans to do some stuff in the future too. It's not the last time. Wasn't the first time I was a guest on his podcast. It's great. He's great. We have great chemistry. We have so much fun and just banter back and forth that, I'm super excited to do more with Mike eventually. And yeah, guys, again, check out Monday Night Nerd, description below. So, guys, if you clicked on tonight's episode, we are talking about one of the very few animes I truly enjoy. Now, to say this is huge because, as some of you know, I'm not a big anime guy. As much as I would love to be an anime guy, I don't have the patience for a lot of it. And that's fine. I have a very niche enjoyment of anime, and a lot of it actually stems from when I was growing up. So I do love Gundam, I do love Escaflowne, I do love Pokemon, obviously. Digimon over Pokemon, though. I'm gonna say that right here. But one of the biggest ones that I must say I do love is the Dragon Ball franchise. And I tonight have decided to talk about one of the pinnacle animes that has shaped me to the person I am today. So we're grabbing that Dragon Radar. We're in search of all those Dragon Balls, because tonight we're doing a huge deep dive on Dragon Ball. So what is actually Dragon Ball? Now, this is a very wide question because there's a lot of iterations of Dragon Ball, and it's all part of the same story. But Dragon Ball is such a great series to just kind of jump into. especially with Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Z, which a lot of you know about. So I was thankful enough that I got to grow up watching Dragon Ball as it was being released on YTV. I actually used to watch it with my dad, and it was really, really interesting. I love the idea. So I mean, you know what, let's get into it first off. So the idea of Dragon Ball is you have this child. His name is Goku. He crash lands on Earth, and he's raised by a farmer. Over time, he learns about these things called Dragon Balls. Now, the Dragon Balls, there are 7 in total, and when you collect them, you summon the dragon from them, and it grants you... Is it either... it's 3 wishes, but sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 2. They're very loose with the rules on the wishes. Generally, it is 3. But... sometimes it is one. I'm getting away from the point. So, and the dragon will grant any wish. So a lot of people want to collect the Dragon Balls for certain things. You have an emperor who wants to collect them and improve his army, you know, like, or it was immortality or something. It's been so long since I've watched Dragon Ball. But it was like Emperor Pilaf, and you know, you have Goku who meets Bulma, who is a pinnacle part of most of Dragon Ball, actually all of Dragon Ball. She is the tech woman. She designs all the tech, and I can't remember the reason why she wants the Dragon Balls. It's been a while, and she has her love interest at that time is Yamcha, and everybody's seen that Yamcha meme. We'll get into those memes a little bit later. But they're on a quest with Goku and Oolong and Master Roshi to find the Dragon Balls. And Goku discovers more and more about his alien lineage, where he is known as a Saiyan. Where he, if he looks at a moon, because he has a tail, he'll turn into this giant ape and rage out and destroy everything. And it's pretty cool. Now after this, because again, I'm not going to get too far into the details, also because I don't remember a lot of the details from the original Dragon Ball, but then you get into a series called Dragon Ball Z, and this is several years later post Dragon Ball, where Goku is, I believe, in his late 20s, early 30s kind of thing, and he now has a son called Gohan. All the same cast is there. Piccolo, who was the villain at one point in Dragon Ball, is now a good guy in Dragon Ball Z. It doesn't start that way at first, kind of a bit of a heated rivalry there, but then you get a lot of other characters, because, you know, you have Bulma, and you have Master Roshi and Oolong all returning. You have Yajirobe, Yamcha's there. They've added a few friends. They have Tien and Chaozu, and they have Kami on the lookout. You have Mr. Popo. And then you get into the kind of gray area for characters. You have the Saiyans. One crash lands at the very beginning. His name is Raditz, and he kind of signals that, hey, guess what? You think I'm bad? There's 2 other ones coming. And those 2 are Nappa and Vegeta. Now, Vegeta goes on to stop being such a dickhole and becomes a hero. Well, anti-hero, let's say. And this happens over time. Now, same thing as Dragon Ball. Dragon Balls are there, but for some reason, and stop me if you guys notice this too, with Dragon Ball Z, I find that the Dragon Balls are kind of just a side character when the story requires them to be important. Like, I found in the first season they were important because they had to wish back Goku. Because at the very beginning when he fights Raditz, he's killed by Piccolo because that's the only way to stop him. So he's in the other world training with King Kai, and the only way to bring him back so he can help fight with the Saiyans is the Dragon Balls. So the Dragon Balls kind of take like a side avenue whenever they need them, then they become important. They have a whole series where they go to the world where the Dragon Balls are made on Namek. That's season 2 and season 3, but we'll get to that eventually. But yeah, so again, you have all these amazing characters, and then as the series develops, you get even more characters. Like one of my personal favorites, Trunks. Trunks gets introduced, I think, around season 3 or 4. There's 7 seasons in the original run of Dragon Ball Z. And Trunks gets introduced, and he's actually from the future. And later on, you find out he's Vegeta and Bulma's kid. And I really love Trunks, because especially he has one of the most badass character introductions that I've ever seen in a cartoon or live action. The villain from season 2 or 3 shows up, and he's all like half robotic, half, organic, and he's still alive. They thought Goku killed him when the planet blew up, but he's still alive. He brought his dad, and then they have this whole alien army, and they're there to mess up Earth real bad. Trunks comes out of nowhere, and everyone's like, oh my god, where's Goku? We can't get Goku. Trunks shows up, takes out his sword. Oh yeah, by the way, the motherfucker's got a sword. That's cool. Cuts up Frieza, kills King Cold, which is Frieza's dad, and then destroys their entire army, single-handedly. And then Goku appears, and he has like this new special ability called Instant Transmission, and then they go into it. And then this kind of arcs into the Android Saga, and then after the Android Saga is the Boo Saga, and then Dragon Ball Z ends. And it has a pretty good ending, I will admit. I really like the ending to Dragon Ball Z. Now here's where it divides fans. And as you all know, I'm going to have the controversial opinion here. So from here, you have Dragon Ball GT, but then you also have Dragon Ball Super. Super is the recent iteration of a sequel for Dragon Ball Z. They've basically retconned GT, but GT came first. Now, post-Dragon Ball, Goku is training at King Kai's. Emperor Pilaf from the original Dragon Ball comes, and he finds the Dark Star Dragon Balls. Now, the Dark Star Dragon Balls release the Dark Dragon, and it grants like a negative wish, or it grants one wish. And I can't remember how it happens, but the wish backfires and Goku becomes a kid again. He's like in his 50s at this point, so he becomes a kid again. And then the Dark Star Dragon Balls, when the Dragon Balls have a wish done, they just disperse. So they go all over the planet, and you gotta find them. However, the Dark Star Dragon Balls disperse throughout the universe. So now they've got to go on an adventure to find these Dark Star Dragon Balls, and they have a year to do so, because if they don't, the planet blows up. Kind of a bad thing. So they go on this like cosmic adventure. Now personally, and I got to admit, I genuinely like Dragon Ball GT. I like the villains in it. I really like the villains in it. I loved how it ends with the Dark Star Dragons. I loved Super Saiyan 4. I loved what it looked like. Anybody who knows me, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I love weird stuff. And for me, I loved the fact that Dragon Ball Z basically is Guardians of the Galaxy for the first half of the series. And I loved it. I thought the whole quest for the Dragon Balls, the Dark Star Dragon Balls, was Guardians of the Galaxy. And I loved it. I thought it was excellent. I thought Baby was the creepiest villain ever. And especially when Baby possesses Vegeta and becomes Baby Vegeta. I love Baby Vegeta. I think Baby Vegeta is a great villain. I think that there was a lot of missed opportunity to really enjoy it, but c'est la vie, that happens sometimes. But I personally believe that GT is a great successor. And the problem was, a lot of people have that the creator Akira Toriyama didn't really have a lot of say and didn't really have a lot of pull on this. So they created it off of his characters, but he didn't. Now, when I go to Dragon Ball Super, Akira Toriyama actually was the head creator of it. He's actually written the manga of it. And I got to admit, I've only watched season 1 of Dragon Ball Super. I did watch all the movies leading up to it. I did watch Battle of the Gods. I watched Resurrection of F. I've watched the Broly movie. I do enjoy Super. I just haven't found the time to sit down and finish it. But yeah, I can understand the appeal to it. Again, taking place post Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z. You have characters like Goku and Goten and Kid Trunks, present Kid Trunks, not future Trunks. You have Pan, who is Goku's granddaughter, I believe is in it some point. I think she's in GT. I'm not sure if she's in this. So basically, it is a continuation, a faithful sequel to Dragon Ball Z. And there's a lot of really interesting villains and character arcs, and I am still excited to continue watching it. Again, for me, I had a really hard time getting through the first 2 episodes because it is a hard watch. It has a lot of anime tropes that I don't like, but again, I do like Dragon Ball, so I do muscle through it. Pun intended there. So yeah, Dragon Ball is an adventure and a half. It's very well grounded on Earth. It's very well grounded in the cosmos, in the afterlife. It's got a little bit of something for everybody. It's very high action, and it's got some excellent storytelling that, again, the late great Akira Toriyama, you just can't replicate his work, and it stands the test of time. Like, I sat down and watched Dragon Ball Z the other day just a little bit, and it still holds up. Like, I know you have like this Dragon Ball Kai, which cuts out all the filler, but that's like half the fun of it, guys. Why would you want to cut that out? But yeah, I genuinely, this is why I love Dragon Ball, because everything from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, GT, Super, there's something for everybody in this, and it is so cool. And it is one of those shows that grew up with me as I was growing up. And again, as a longtime fan, I cannot say enough great things about Dragon Ball. Now that I've said that, this is Dragon Ball, and one thing that I have mentioned is that the characters are just so rich. There's so many characters, especially if you're including the original Dragon Ball, Z, GT, Super, all of them. Like, there are so many characters, guys. And it took me a little bit, but I've whittled it down. I've got 2 heroes and 2 villains. So I'm going to just quickly go through these and tell you why I like them so much. So we will start with heroes. For heroes, my first one, Trunks. I love Trunks so much. I love the way Trunks looks, and I will preface, it is future Trunks that I like. The little kid Trunks I hate him. I'm sorry, guys, I hate him and Goten so much, and I know they have a really cool story arc in the Boo Saga, but I cannot stand them. I cannot stand them so much. But I do love future Trunks. I love when he goes in the hyperbolic time chamber with his father. I love when he comes out and he's got the long hair and he's like powered up Super Saiyan. Trunks is a badass, honestly, guys. Just from his first appearance, just to how many times he keeps hopping from the future to the present, it is so cool. I love future Trunks so much, and honestly, they gave him a movie, The History of Trunks, and what a gut wrench that is, guys. I can't even begin to tell you how well this movie is written. It's only about like 45 to 50 minutes long, but wow, what a movie. And guys, I cannot say it enough. This character is so rich. He's so tortured, but such a badass at the same time. And he's gotten a great little redemption arc in it. So this one might be a little bit of a surprise to people, but not to me. I love Piccolo. Piccolo is one of my favorite characters in all of Dragon Ball. I just think that in a world of Super Saiyans and like time travelers, you have this random alien named Piccolo who actually for most part is able to keep up with everybody pretty well. Like, I mean, everybody has to go the next level of Super Saiyan, but here's Piccolo just like dominating. Like, one of my favorite movies is that new superhero movie came out because it was like a Piccolo and Gohan story, and I love anything to do with Piccolo and Gohan. He's really a pseudo better father to Gohan than Goku ever was. I'm gonna say that right now. It's controversial, but I know a lot of the fan base loves Piccolo, and I know that they say he's a much better father than Goku. But no, Piccolo is an Namekian, so he's from the planet Namek, which is the home planet of the Dragon Balls. There's a lot of really good storylines, and a lot of the story arc of Namek itself in season 2 and 3. Excellent. When you meet Frieza, you see the Namekians trying to fight back against Frieza. It's probably one of my favorite series next to the one that comes up with my villains, but we'll get into that in a minute. But no, Piccolo is he's a great character. And the fact that he fuses with other Namekians to become stronger, more intelligent, more insightful, I think that's excellent. I think some of his humor that he has every once in a while is great. We'll talk about this later, but Dragon Ball Z Abridged, I love Piccolo from that. They give Piccolo so much attention in the Abridged series, and it just makes me love Piccolo even more. Honestly, Piccolo is one of my favorites next to Trunks, hands down. For villains, this one I had a lot of trouble with, because I wasn't sure if I was allowed to include the movies, because the movies are essentially non-canon. But it is my show, so I'm gonna do what I want. So my first villain is actually a canon character, and it's Cell. I love Cell as a villain. I think he is just a bastard. And I think the whole trying to absorb the other androids to become complete, I love that whole storyline. It was just like, I remember watching that and feeling so much anxiety, just, oh my god, is he going to get a hold of the android now? Is he going to get a hold of 18? Is he going to get a hold of 17? Like, I remember that, and I remember watching him absorb those androids and just being like, this is horrifying. Oh my god, I would hate that. I had nightmares as a kid of Cell trying to absorb me, and that was weird. But I love Cell. I loved everything about his character arc. I loved the Cell tournament, the Cell games that he creates. I think even he does lose to Gohan, but I think that fight between him and Gohan was just so epic. I mean, on so many levels, because you have this 11-year-old kid who's finally cracking Super Saiyan 2 and the first to do so, and Cell's able to keep up with that. He's never encountered a Super Saiyan 2 before. And even with the help of Goku, like, they just barely beat him. But, like, wow, just the fact that you have to destroy every single molecule of him, because if there's but one left, he can regenerate from that. And I thought that was so cool. They literally send him to the other world and destroy an entire planet because he was self-destructing, and a single amoeba of him survived, and he was able to regenerate from that. And I thought that was so cool. It's so annoying, but so cool. And honestly, one of the most villainous characters in Dragon Ball, hands down, next to Frieza. And don't get me wrong, I do like Frieza, but Cell has those Frieza cells inside of him, and he's an amalgam of Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Krillin, Frieza. He has so many of those abilities from these characters because Dr. Gero was able to steal DNA and examine their fighting styles and create this perfect being. And it's epic. If you guys haven't watched the Cell Saga or Dragon Ball Z for that matter, what are you doing with your life? Fix that. Now, this one is a bit of a stretch. It is in one of the movies. And I really, this is probably one of my favorite movies, and it's Janemba. And this is what he looks like right here. Janemba, well, actually, he has multiple forms. I will go with that. I forgot about that. Janemba is essentially a devil. He is created on the other world. There's an explosion of spirits of negative energy, and he gets infected, and he turns into Janemba, and he basically like puts like these incredibly like dense bubbles around everything, and no one can get through them, and he's basically destroying the afterlife, and it causes a rift in the normal in our world, and like all of the classic Dragon Ball Z villains come back, and everybody on Earth has to fight it, but Goku and Vegeta have to fight Janemba in the other world. Now, Janemba kind of starts off like Boo. So he's this big, fat, dumb thing, and just like, he has this really weird apparition ability, so he can like punch people, but then dematerialize his hand and reappear. Like, so like, they'll be like kilometers away. He'll just put his hand out and his fist will come out of nowhere and punch them right in the face. I thought it was awesome. But then when they defeat Janemba in his big fat look, he becomes really slender, like a purpley red, and he's got this sword that launches these like laser needles at people. And honestly, I love the fight between Vegeta, Pikkon, and Goku with Janemba. It is epic. And growing up, I've seen so many anime music videos to this. Like, I've seen Linkin Park played over their fights. Like, it is awesome. I have so many fond memories of Janemba. I mean, there is one, but unfortunately, the voice actor did ruin it for me, and I really hate that, because I do love Brawly, but I just, with everything that Vic has done, I just can't really put him on this list, and it sucks because I do like Brawly, but Janemba is definitely just as badass as Broly. You've heard me mention his name a couple times now. Akira Toriyama is a Japanese artist and writer. He has sadly passed away a couple years ago, and he left behind this amazing legacy of just Dragon Ball. But I take that back, not just Dragon Ball. Akira Toriyama had several other titles that we're about to dive into, not just cartoons, but manga and video games, and a lot of his stuff did start off as manga. But we're going to do a quick little deep dive into some of his other projects that he's worked on and released over the years. So the next big one to Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball franchise as a whole, I would have to go Dragon Quest. Now, a lot of you may be like, what's Dragon Quest? Well, Dragon Quest is an RPG that started in Japan in the early to mid 80s. It did get a localization in North America. And even as you look at the art here, you can definitely tell it has tons of Dragon Ball Z roots. But this was like a Dragon Ball Z style Final Fantasy. It was set in like a medieval period where you were fighting monsters. There was a Dragon Quest monster to kind of ride those coattails of Pokemon, where you did have to kind of catch and train monsters to do battle. I thought it was pretty cool. I had a lot of fun with it, but the Dragon Quest games itself are just legendary. Like, they rival Final Fantasy, and I do believe it is Square Enix that is releasing them, same company that does Final Fantasy. But just Dragon Quest itself, between the art and the story, and like, you have so many installments in this series, it rivals, I would believe, Castlevania at this point. And again, it's just this beautiful medieval and monstrous looking creatures that Akira Toriyama creates, and he just has that signature look to all of them, and it's beautiful, and it really, even today, it still stands the test of time. And I always do wonder, especially now that he's passed, if he ever did have another one written, because that's one series I would love to dive back into. I know we did see a resurgence of Dragon Quest, what was it, back in like 2015 or 2016? I knew there was one that was released, but yeah, I would love to see just one more. Especially in a modern like PS5, Xbox era, I would love to see just one more. So I hope that he did have another one stashed away somewhere. Keeping with the video game franchise, another one that comes from that Final Fantasy era, and it was a Squaresoft game, is Chrono Trigger. And again, looking at the art, guys, Chrono Trigger is a clear cousin to Dragon Ball. Like, look at that hair. It is such a great little story, and it's been so long since I've played it. I'm long overdue for a playthrough, but it has to deal with time travel, and again, the mechanics and the fighting is very similar to Final Fantasy. So again, this came out during like the Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy Tactics era, and it was just a nice little dabble of anime. And especially from a well-known anime like a Dragon Ball Z style, and it's just so beautiful, and the story still stands up today. We got a sequel, a semi-sequel called Chrono Cross. It's good, but it definitely, you can tell Akira Toriyama had nothing to do with it, and it sucks, because I feel like that's where a lot of its charm comes from. Probably one of the best stories that I've played in a very long time for. Just kind of, I don't even want to say indie game, but it's like, I want to say a single installment series, because again, with Chrono Cross, I don't think that's a really good sequel. I have never finished Chrono Cross, but like, I just don't think you can really put it up against Chrono Trigger. I feel like Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross are two different games completely. Somehow one is a sequel to the other, but I don't understand the logic to that. It just doesn't fit together. Again, maybe it does later. I've never finished it, but no, Chrono Trigger, and I wish they did more with it, because again, all of the cutscenes were done in Akira Toriyama's art style, and they're beautiful. I would have loved to have seen a show come out of this, and unfortunately it didn't. But you know, you can pick up Chrono Trigger, I believe, on the PlayStation Network, and it is an excellent playthrough. It is again, same NES PlayStation kind of vibe with the art, and even again, while you're playing, it has that overworld look to it. It is really cool. I do love the look of it, and I still say it stands the test of time. So this one is interesting, Blue Dragon. Now, I will admit, I have never played Blue Dragon, but I know there is a fan base for it. And I did a little bit of research on Blue Dragon, and it's really cool because I could relate it to another game that I used to love playing growing up. So Blue Dragon, from what I can tell, is a love letter to traditional Final Fantasy RPGs with a little bit of Chrono Cross and Dark Cloud sprinkled into it. There are references to Dragon Quest in it, but it is not a part of the Dragon Quest series. it does have this overarching dark villain in it, which gave me a lot of Dark Cloud vibes. I love Dark Cloud. Maybe I'll get into that another day. But I thought it was a really interesting game. Again, this is the point in my life when this came out that I kind of got out of it. Now, granted, a lot of these do have graphic novels. The only one I do believe that doesn't have a graphic novel, or sorry, manga, is Chrono Trigger that we've talked about. But Blue Dragon, I know for a fact, does have a manga. It does have a corresponding storyline that people can read. This is just an adaptation. I do know fans really liked this, and I wish I got on the bandwagon this time, because again, I do love the art style. The art style is beautiful. Again, anything Kira Toriyama touches, I'm in love with. It's beautiful. But I do wish that I got involved in this one a little bit more than I'd like to say, but it is very well received by the fans. So this one is actually really cool, and this one's on Disney Plus, so you can stop this video, or hey, finish the video and go and watch it. And that one is Sandland. I used to get Shonen Jump a long time ago, and I remember reading the first teaser manga for it, and I loved it. I really loved it because in the manga, there's a character from Dragon Ball Z that's actually in this, and it's Deborah. He is the main character's father, who is like some evil demon kind of guy. But the kid demon is the main character, and it's very much like a post-apocalyptic world where you have like a ragtag band of misfits traveling the desert in tanks, fighting monsters and dragons, and at the same time you're fighting this evil king who controls all the water. So you know what? It honestly is like a anime style, like Mad Max, and for me, I love Mad Max, so that's what interested me. And I believe season 1 is completely out on Disney Plus right now. I highly recommend it. It does have those classic anime tropes, like a lot of really silly moments, and honestly, as much as I am a snob when it comes to those, it really isn't that bad. But I mean, again, I do recommend Sandland. I think it's an excellent watch. I highly recommend it. It also blends a lot of that computer animation kind of CGI in it. I'm a big sucker for that, especially when it's done right, and it is done right in Sandland. So yeah, guys, I highly recommend Sandland. That is available on Disney Plus right now. So if you have Disney Plus, go watch Sandland. Highly recommend that one. Oh, the memes. Oh my goodness gracious. The memes are unreal when it comes to Dragon Ball Z. The most popular one, obviously, I think, is the "It's over 9,000!" Yeah, that one. That one is used so much, and it is really inspired a generation to like do all of these memes and bring Dragon Ball right in the front. You obviously have probably all seen the Dead Yamcha meme. They even made a Funko out of Dead Yamcha, and that one I absolutely love. And I think a lot of these memes do come from the Dragon Ball Abridged series. What is the Dragon Ball Abridged series, you ask? Well, I'm happy you did ask. It is done by Team 4-Star. It is on YouTube. I highly recommend watching it. Maybe I will link it below if I think I can. I will anyways. I'll link it down below. And they've taken the original Dragon Ball Z run and they've redubbed it, and it's now comedy. It is hysterical. If you watched MXC, very similar to that. And they make Goku the horrible father that he actually is. They make Gohan so dumb, and I love it. And Goku's dumb in it too. Then the Namekian saga, or the Namek saga, while they're on Namek, probably some of the best Dragon Ball Z abridged stuff I've ever watched. It basically encouraged me to watch all of an entire season of Dragon Ball from start to finish again, and I laughed so damn hard, and it is so good. There's a Krillin kill count, but because of this being such a cultural hit, I feel like that really helped spawn the amount of memes we've seen from the Dragon Ball franchise. And honestly, it is so welcome because I do love a good meme, and I do love a good meme from my childhood, especially when I get to pull a Captain America and be like, oh, I understand that reference. So again, guys, if you haven't seen Dragon Ball Abridged, I do recommend it. It is a walking, talking meme in itself, and I'm sure you've seen all the memes, especially Jaylin, the Super Saiyan. So this one, oh boy, oh yeah. So you'll be wondering, why am I bringing Superman and Goku into this one? Well, there's a good reason for that. There's a lot of parallels between Superman and Goku. Really? Yes, we will go into this. So, alien child lands on Earth, raised by farmers. Huh. Is that Goku or Superman? Oh, baby, it's both. Super strength. Can fly. Oh, yeah, that's both too. But yeah, guys, there is so many parallels between Goku and Superman. It is just unreal. Like, even when you look at their outfits. Blue and red, blue and orange. Okay, one minor difference, but pretty close. But then they're also fathers. I will say Superman is a better father than Goku. But there's so much. And a lot of people have speculated over this whole online debate over who would win, Superman or Goku. I would have to honestly go Goku over Superman, mostly because most of Superman's powers do come from the sun. You don't have a sun or a red Kryptonian sun, Goku's gonna be fine. Goku ain't gonna use sun worth shit, but Superman needs that to keep up with Goku. So I will say that Goku does have a stronger advantage over Superman, but there's been a lot of debate online over who would win and who was a ripoff, and it's interesting. It was very, very interesting. If you're looking for a rabbit hole to deep dive on Goku versus Superman, just Google it, guys. It is crazy, some of the videos people have done and some of the deep dives. I'm not doing it justice. So yeah, if you get a chance to, definitely look into this because there is some extreme parallels between these two. And yeah, I will say it here. Goku over Superman any day. Ah, yes, the age-old question. Where to start watching Dragon Ball? Well, the best way to start watching Dragon Ball is have Crunchyroll. But besides Crunchyroll, starting the franchise, I would always recommend start with Dragon Ball because, again, it is a little bit kid-friendly, and there are, depending on the version you watch, there are definitely scenes of nudity and some mature content, but mostly the stuff that is streaming, I do believe, is pretty censored. Now, you can actually just jump into Dragon Ball Z and watch from Dragon Ball Z on. You don't have to watch Dragon Ball. I noticed that in the first season, that's when it requires you to kind of know who, what, when, why, where, and how from Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball series. But I really don't think you need. I think you can honestly just jump into Dragon Ball Z and you'll be fine. Because like I said, as long as you know what the Dragon Balls are and you know that the main character is Goku, you'll be fine because the Dragon Balls just become a caveat. They're just a side story there, and they will go out and collect the Dragon Balls every once in a while. Again, when the story prefaces it. The Dragon Ball Run, the very first series, that is obviously very Dragon Ball based because they are all trying to find them. But then, like I said, as you get to Z, they're like, oh yeah, they're there. We kind of need them now. And then like 28 episodes later, they'll be like, oh wait, yeah, we could have probably used the Dragon Balls for that. And that's like the only reference to it. Like they really don't care about them that much unless the storyline requires them to use the Dragon Balls. So you could probably jump into Dragon Ball Z. I personally would say start from Dragon Ball and go on. But if you're not into like the kid-friendly or you're finding that Dragon Ball is just not your cup of tea, definitely jump into Z. And I have mentioned it a couple times too, the movies are not canon, so you can actually jump into the movies and watch them as is. They are their own separate universe. I think there's like 12 or 14 movies, excluding the new ones. But I would recommend the movies. The movies are fantastic. Some of my favorite villains, some of my favorite storylines, and again, they're usually only about 45 minutes to 50 minutes, and I live, breathe, and die by those movies. I'm not a big fan of the fact that they're not canon. There's some stuff that you could 100% make canon in the Dragon Ball universe, but then there's a lot you can't because it just doesn't match to any storyline. I have all the movies. I do watch them every once in a while. But yeah, guys, honestly, if you really want to, I would highly recommend starting from the beginning and include GT. GT is great. I know it does lose a little bit of that Akira Toriyama charm, but it's still really well-rounded. I think it's great storytelling. I love the weird, especially the weird that they take this series on. Again, guys, Dragon Ball GT is a part of it, and then jump into Super. Super is excellent. From what I've seen, from what I've heard, has an excellent ending. But yeah, 100% guys, start with Dragon Ball or jump into Dragon Ball Z. Either way, you're in for the ride of your life. So unfortunately, guys, tonight I will not be doing book club because the book club that I would love to recommend is the Dragon Ball Z box set of the entire manga series. Unfortunately, I do not own that. As I was growing up, I was collecting the single issues of it as it was coming out in like trade paper form and just regular comic form. When I worked at Big B Comics, I used to see the big boxes of everything collected. I will eventually buy that one day, but as of right now, I do not own it. But it is, if I were to do a book club, I would recommend that because I do think it does make the Dragon Ball Z storyline a little bit darker. It doesn't deviate too far from the storyline, which is excellent. And I do think that it is very well written. Again, this is what inspired the actual anime you watch on TV. Like, this is Akira Toriyama's at his finest. Actually, I said it. This is Akira Toriyama at his finest. And honestly, guys, I love it. I think it's great. What I have read, I think I've read most of the Namek saga in written form as well as on TV, and I love it. And again, it's darker, it's more grittier, but it's still the same story. All the same events still happen, just a little bit more that was missing from TV because they had to cut because it was being shown to a kid audience. So I do recommend the entire series of Dragon Ball Z. You can get it on Amazon, but why buy it on Amazon? Support your local comic shop, support Big B Comics, support Nerdcore. Stay tuned to Nerdcore and see what's going on with them. And now, guys, here's a quick word from our sponsors. If you guys loved the music for the intro as well as the backtrack for this podcast, now check out Me For Real. He's got an amazing Spotify playlist, as well as his skills and animation are absolutely amazing. Click the links in the description below to check out to see what Me For Real is up to these days. The sun is getting low in the sky, so put away your swords, power down your consoles, and tuck away those dice. You've traveled far on your adventures, now rest your weary heads. Good night, folks, and I'll see you next month.